You answered at the beginning about the conversations or the original letter from Patrick, and then when you went on and said no, and he went, oh, that's encouraging.
I'll never forget
Do you remember any of the other conversations? I mean, can you recall once perhaps you started to come on board a little bit in response to first writing? I mean,
listen, all it was great. I met him after all of this, when we began to really flirt seriously. I don't think we had a deal yet. But I think when I was still trying to figure out, wait, you know, maybe I should do this, but let me meet this guy, make sure he's not completely out of his mind, and also, are we on the same page on how we want to handle this? And I met him up here. I was going to a resort on Vancouver Island, and so I came a day earlier so I could meet with Patrick, and we had a drink, and sat down, and I went through a whole checklist, and I said, if I said to you, what must you have in this adaptation, what would you say? If I said to you, for God's sakes, if you were saying, for God's sakes, Jay, whatever you do, don't keep this, what would it be? And I remember my first question was, let me ask you a question. Why did you love the Count of Monte Cristo so much? Because I wanted to hear what that was all about, to see if maybe he was not loving the right things. But it was all 100%. And you know what? There are certain people, and it's true of both these guys, that exude decency. You just have a feeling these are decent people. And you know what? And if they, let me put it another way. If it turns out, there are certain people that if it turns out they're not, it was worth trying, because you just get that feeling, that's all. If I can't take that gamble, what gamble can you take?
So the age-old chicken and the egg question, which persuaded you then? The earnestness of these two gentlemen, or the source material?
I think that I think they were equally balanced. I think the absence of one or the other, and I wouldn't have done it. I would never have done that book without these guys. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I would never have done that book without people I was impressed with to the degree I am impressed with these guys. And by the same token, I wouldn't have just done anything that they had to offer.
You signed the writer's agreement in Phoenix.
Yes.
I understand. Tell me about that. Was that unusual in any way?
Unusual in any way? Well, I'm telling you, unhindered by tradition. I have no idea what these guys are doing. I have no idea. The bottom line is it all turns out all right. But why they do the things they do, I have no idea. I mean, Nick wants to sign this in Arizona. Nobody does anything in Arizona but sweat. Why are we going to Arizona? Well, because Nick wants to do it in Arizona. Come on, he's building a house. Okay, fine, I'll go to Arizona. And I go to Arizona, everybody's very nice, we have a lovely conversation, they feed me, always good. And they sign, they have somebody taking pictures, and I mean, I'm thinking, this is what happens at the end of this is what happens at the premiere. Why are we doing this now? You don't even know if I can put 3 words together yet on this project. I didn't understand it, but you know what? Sometimes you don't have to understand everything, you know? You just have to go with the flow. It works. It seems to be working. What can I tell you?
Because it's all been so unusual, and you clearly really like the guys.
I do.
Do you kind of almost feel a little bit more pressure to deliver something absolutely fantastic?
Yeah, I do. Because it isn't just the affection. It's the fact that you realize these guys are doing this out of their own funds, and they moved so far in my direction in the other issues that I just so appreciated that yes, I want to return that in kind, or if not in kind, in a way that will make them happy and feel that it was justified. Absolutely. You know, we spent about maybe 5 hours today in my hotel room talking about the project. And, you know, it was just could not have been more convivial. And I think about it in terms of the usual stuff in Hollywood. And, you know, I've had very good experiences and I've had not such good experiences. You know, I just think it stands up pretty well.
You're also a producer in the project, and you know, although you've said it's all about character and story, you can't have the guy just talking in a corner. There has to be some production value.
Right.
So how big in terms do you foresee the production to be? I mean, do you imagine shooting on locations to the story, Canada, the UK, France, Belgium?
I'm gonna let the story dictate what happens. It seems to me, and I did this with game shows, and I do this with scripts, you do this stuff from the inside out. You start with the character and the story you build around that character, and where that goes, it goes. At the end of the day, we have a script, we love it, we're proud of it. How much is it going to cost? Once again, I say, my turn to be a fool is over. My turn to screw this up is over. I promised a good script. Now we're producers. Okay, now we have to go and we have to find money. Well, the first thing we've got about finding money, the jewel in the crown, begins with a good script. I'll let the other people make, you know, whoever comes in on this decide how much and what the budget is and where we are, etc. But I'm certainly not going to shorten or in any way stunt where we need to go because, oh God, where are we going to get the money from? You got to you have to let the flower bloom. And it'll stop where it stops, where the story stops. That's how much it'll cost. And we'll see where that is. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It all depends. But I'm sure not going to make that decision in the creative area to begin with. I think that's one of the problems with Hollywood is so much is driven that way, it goes backwards.
Although you talked earlier about talking about what had to be in it, what didn't have to be in it, and that type of thing, where would you say you had to shoot? I mean, absolutely, positively, the film just wouldn't be the same if you didn't have that shot of whatever, that location.
Let me think.
A lot of it you have to recreate.
Let me think about that. I would tell you this. I think you certainly don't have to be in Belgium because you are not. It's not like you're shooting this in Brussels, you know, or you're not, you know, or you were shooting something that took place in Prague. Good luck. Now you got to build Prague. But you know, building craters and all of that stuff, I can get some barbed wire. I know where I can get a good price on barbed wire. But it's not that. But there are other places. For example, I'm not saying it would have to be done in Vancouver, on Vancouver Island, where the movie basically begins. But having been there is this is not a word, but a paradisical aspect. There's certainly a pristine aspect to Vancouver Island. And I think that would have to be replicated. You would have to find something as good as Vancouver Island because that counterpoint with the hell that is in the third act and is shown earlier on as well, that counterpoint is very, very important and very, very effective, it would seem to me. So that I would say, if you can't find me Eden, I'll take Vancouver Island, you know.
And finally, what is your goal with the film? I mean, you said in a way when you deliver the script, you can say, there's my part, but you write anything. When you begin anything, you can't help but look. It's like giving birth to a child. You envision them in the future, and you always do that. This is your child. What is your goal with the project?
That's a very good question. And I'm going to tell you what my goal is. I was very fortunate in life for reasons I cannot really take credit for. It just happened this way. I learned a very important lesson in my life, which is in regard to this business, whether it be television, whether it be game shows, narrative television, movies, failure is the rule. If you are calling failure, it wasn't a hit, it never got bought, it didn't, you'll walk around depressed your whole life if that's what your criteria is for feeling good about yourself. What I do is I've defined success as, does it make me proud? Did I do the best job I could do, and am I watching that thing and saying to myself, good for you, you did good. I walk away happy if I have fulfilled that for myself. I'm very lucky that way. So what my goal is to be proud. To be proud I was associated with a project of that quality. Count of Monte Cristo gets an enormous, I mean, it gives me great satisfaction. I get a lot of kudos from it. People are always, whatever. I can't tell you how proud it makes me. That is money. This did okay. It made some money. It did good. It got critical thing. But I look at it and I say, it's not bad, Jay. Not bad. And to feel that way about another project like this one, that's always my goal. My goal is always, your turn to be a fool is over. You got away with it. You did a great job by your own lights. You can't worry about what the other guy, whether the other guys are going to buy it or not, whether they're going to come, whether they're going to do it. Can't worry about it. Do the best job you can.
Although you must hope they come.
No, well, of course, no. Oh, no, never. Are you kidding? No. I'll blow up the theater before I let them in.
Why should they come?
What?
Last was postscript question. Why should the world see this film?
Well, it's almost like going backwards from the questions. Because it's contemporary, because we're in the middle of this now, but because at the end of the day, if you don't care about war, meaning if that isn't what's bothering you, if it's none of the things that surround it, it is about character. It is about someone who's just like you, who is, no, there's something different than that. Martin is not just an everyman, because an everyman in the Hitchcockian sense is James Stewart in Rear Window. He's the guy, the ordinary man who finds himself in extraordinary circumstances. Martin does something different. He is an ordinary man who puts himself in extraordinary circumstances when he never thought he had it in him, and other people didn't either. That's the difference. Now, all of us think that there are things that are beyond us, that put in a situation, we would never rise to the occasion. And this is the story about someone who did. And I don't know that that's easy to resist.